Welcome to Dr. Roger and Friends, the bright side of longevity, hosted by 3 Ps in a podcast, Doc Roger, Teresa, and Danielle. Thanks for joining us for coffee and conversation.
Well, look, we're all struggling here, and there are those of us at home wondering how we can help, and we feel a need to help. There's those who are out on the front line every day, some not seeing their families, sleeping in cars, healthcare workers, and getting sick. So first off, before we do anything, because we're going to focus on those of you at home who'd like to do a little bit more, but hats off to the heroes. You know, these are my former colleagues in medicine and healthcare workers of all types, volunteers even out there, emergency responders, all of them out there, not only working hard and spending a lot of time and hours and not seeing their families as much, but putting themselves in harm's way. And that is as much in harm's way as probably any military person has done. So have to acknowledge them. It is just uplifting and at the same time heart-rendering, some of the stories that we're hearing. So let's not forget them as we start to maybe think about some of our petty concerns at home. Those of us who are held up and captive, think about them. But as I said, today we'd like to deal with what you might be able to do. There you are in your home, okay? And this probably does apply to families, but families with small kids, I mean, you get your hands full, and you're probably not thinking in terms of what can I do for others, because you're already helping others, your family. But there are many of us who are there. Our lives have changed. We're not doing what we were doing before, and we want to help and feel we can, or maybe we don't feel we have the skills, or we do have the skills, but we want to help. So there are ways. And you know what? Doing that is not only going to help, it is going to show we're all in this together, which I think will be of great comfort to you and to everyone. And the fact that you're able to reach out to someone, that's a very human instinct and something deeply healthy for you and gratifying. So I'd like you to consider that. Well, Teresa, I'm sure you can add to this, and then we're going to have Danielle even give some maybe practical examples. So
absolutely. One of the quotes that I like so much is, one of the great ironies of life is he or she who serves almost always benefits more than he or she who is served. And I think that's still true, and maybe especially true right now. So we've known for decades that researchers have not failed us about the power of volunteerism, and they've even teased out that, you know, people who volunteer are healthier because they volunteer, and lower mortality rate, they have greater functional ability, less depression, all these things, greater sense of meaning and purpose. And all of that sort of can feel on hold, I think, during these really unusual, for many of us, unprecedented times. But there are some ways, and as Dr. Roger said, for those of you whose life came to a screeching halt, you know, maybe this is more for you than the mom who's struggling homeschooling and working at home. But what about RAKtivism, random acts of kindness? You know, we talk about that sometimes. So it's not the formal volunteering, the showing up Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 kind of thing, but it's random, and maybe there's a place for random acts of kindness even today. You know, just one random act of kindness reduces stress, anxiety, and depression, and it floods us with hormones that make us feel good and calm. Don't we all need good and calm right now? So people who do random acts of kindness are called RAKtivists. RAKtivists report that they're happier and they have more energy and they have less aches and pains than their non-RAKtivist counterparts. So, you know, assuming that you're healthy right now, that you're taking all the recommended precautions, hand washing, maybe there are some ways to spread kindness even now. Just sending an encouraging email. If you're out getting your own prescription, picking up your neighbors. Here's one, and we're all feeling for small business, maybe go online, spend a little bit of time and write positive reviews online for all your favorite businesses. You know, some people are sewing face masks, some people are baking up a storm. I know I did a little of that this weekend. Even just a phone call or a text message. So lots of ways that we can practice RAKtivism, I think, during this time. And, you know, how many can we pull off in a week? And if you do have little bit older kids at home, maybe how can you involve them in RAKtivism? So just some thoughts there. And I bet if I know you, Danielle, you have more thoughts.
I do, but I love those examples because sometimes it's hard to find creative ways to do random acts of kindness or volunteering. So for me, I kind of categorize it. I remember many years ago, there was a Center for Positive Living in Sarasota, and I loved it because they always talked about time, talent, and treasure. And so I always kind of go to in my mind thinking, okay, how can I give my time? Well, I can't get out, but to your point, I can do a Skype call. I can email. When I'm riding my bike, even my neighbors on the other side of the street, you know, obviously we're not going to be in close contact, but I can stop and ask them how they're doing and maybe make the conversation more than hi and bye and really just actively take a few extra minutes. One silly example, you know, you'll see people on Facebook or Nextdoor asking for a recommendation, and does anybody have an answer to this? And a lot of times I'm so busy, I'm like, somebody else will answer it. But I find myself saying, oh, no, wait, I have that answer and I'm going to take a minute to give it. So little things like that. Talent. So I'm seeing people both for work and volunteering some of their time sharing, you know, they're getting on YouTube and they're sharing their music, they're sharing meditation, they're teaching a free yoga class. So if you have a talent and you can transfer it to something online, that's a great way. And the last one that's a little tricky is the treasure. Many people are unemployed. So I would say if you are employed and you're lucky enough to be able to, and in the financial position, look for charities that maybe are feeding the hungry or doing things that are supporting the current efforts. And what I like to do, it gives me a little happiness boost. I may not have a lot of money, but I like going to different organizations and give a little bit here and then a little bit there. And every time I do, I feel really good. And for the people who are saying, hey, I don't have a job right now, I don't have it to give. If you're going online to order needed supplies, even on Amazon, you can go to smile.amazon and they will give a percentage of whatever you bought for your family to a charity. I like charity miles. If I go for a walk and I log it, businesses are contributing for every mile I walk. So look for opportunities to support businesses that are supporting charities, even if you can't financially do so. And the last thing I wanted to mention, pointsoflight.org. It's a great resource for volunteering in general, but now they are starting to focus on volunteering while you're isolated. So they have crisis text lines that you can support. You can sign up for the Smithsonian and do some transcription for historic documents. You can connect with kids who are college students and answer questions about your field. There's another one where it's matching nonprofits with your talent, whatever your talent is, and you can volunteer, hey, I've got an hour, 2 hours, whatever you can do. So I will make sure to put that link in, but pointsoflight.org. So lots of things we can do even when we're stuck at home.
Marvelous things. That's why I love working with you too. You crystallize things. Sometimes I deal in the abstract, you bring it down to reality, and I benefit from that. And you know, I remember seeing it was a photo book that was, I saw it very early in my childhood, and it was a collection of photos from all over the world. And it was called The Family of Man. And I'm feeling that now. I'm feeling it probably more than ever. We are all in this together. You know, it's not just our country. During 9/11, we all felt it sort of on a national basis with a lot of sympathy and empathy from other countries. But this time, everyone is being touched by this. The family of man. It is indeed a family of man. And we're all struggling, but to the extent we help each other, as Teresa said, we're going to benefit from that. And so will the world, and so will our species, and we'll get through this. Hang in there, folks. We're all in this together, remember.
You've been listening to Dr. Roger and Friends, The Bright Side of Longevity. If you like the show, please rate and review, and be sure to click to follow.